What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today we're talking about why Aaron Glenn proved that he is not messing around with how he handled the latest New York Jets situation. So Diana Rossini and Chase Daniel reported on their podcast earlier today. Two things. One, the first is that most of the people who interviewed for the Jets job wanted to do it without Aaron Rodgers. And part two, Aaron Glenn and company laid out what the terms were going to be for Aaron Rodgers.
Most of the candidates that were interviewing for that Jets job had suggested to the organization, hey, if I get this job, I'm going to do this without Aaron Rodgers. And obviously that appears to be Aaron Glenn's thought process on this as well. And I was told that when they had conversations with Aaron Rodgers about what the future would look like, if you're going to be part of this team, you're going to attend all of the training camp. You're not going to do Pat McAfee interviews anymore. So they were really trying to change the way.
They said that?
Yeah. They had a conversation with him of, if you were to stay here, here's how we would want it to be. So this to me is Aaron Glenn getting control back.
Okay, so let's react to that first. One, Thomas Dimitroff at the Super Bowl went on a million shows and talked about how if he got the job for the New York Jets, he would have decided to move on from Aaron Rodgers. And that did not come as a surprise to me. I figured that most of these candidates would want to move on from Aaron Rodgers. And I'll reiterate, I've said it a few times already this week, but I think the way that some Jet fans view Aaron Rodgers is very different than how the rest of the league viewed Aaron Rodgers. And I think that little bit of information proves that fact. And as for the second part on Aaron Glenn laying out the terms, it was number one, you're just going to be a part of this team, part of the 53 if you return. You're not doing the Pat McAfee show. No distractions. Honestly, I like it. I do. And if Aaron Rodgers was going to be a part of this team, we know that's not the direction that things are going to go, but if he was going to be a part of this team, it should be on the head coach's terms. And that's the key thing that I wanted to hit on. Aaron Glenn was hired here to be a leader for the New York Jets and to set the culture, be the culture guy. So he has to be the one who's in charge to make those decisions. The last regime, it was Aaron Rodgers was the one who was making a lot of the decisions. He was done. Everything was done on his terms. They had the coach that he wanted in Nathaniel Hackett. They brought in Alan Lazard. They brought in Devontae Adams via trade. They ran the kind of offense that he wanted to run. If he was to return to this team in 2025, that's not the case. That was not going to be the case. It wasn't going to be the way that things were the last 2 years. It would have been on Aaron Glenn's terms. Now, there was a good follow-up, which was, well, if he agreed to those things, would he have still been the New York Jets quarterback? And here was the answer.
So do you think that if he would have agreed to not do that stuff, that he would have been their quarterback? Or do you think he was just thinking like, I don't want to be controlled. I don't want to be put in a box. This is fast. I knew none of this. And this is extremely fascinating to me hearing you say that.
I think that no matter what the Jets were going to say, Aaron Rodgers wanted to move on. I mean, this is something that I knew about.
So Rodgers himself. So he went up there to hear him out, but you're thinking that probably
Look, it's just like anything else. You want to listen, right? Like, I think he was smart to talk to the Jets and say, all right, where do we stand? How does this work? And maybe if they were on the side of maybe convincing him more, this could have changed. But this wasn't the way it was when they traded for him, where, it was exciting.
He was the GM pretty much.
He was the GM. Yeah, he's the GM no more.
Apparently it did not matter because Aaron Rodgers also wanted to move on. So this feels like, as reported by Dan Rossini, by Connor Hughes, with how he handled the parting of ways on Sunday on SNY, that it's something that like both sides wanted to move on. Aaron Glenn and company and everyone who interviewed for this job mostly were in agreement that they were moving on from Aaron Rodgers. And then the other side of things from Rodgers' side kind of is like, you know what? I don't know if I want to go through that. And he has every right to make that decision because it would be a new coaching regime. He didn't sign up to be under Aaron Glenn and Tanner Engstrand. What he signed up for was Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas, and Nathaniel Hackett. And none of those three guys are here anymore. So if he wants to go, you know what? I don't want to be a part of a transition. I want to go and try to compete and try to win a Super Bowl. That wasn't going to happen here in year one. Maybe the Jets would have been competitive with Aaron Rodgers and maybe had a chance at a playoff spot, best case scenario. But he knows the deal, that it was going to be Aaron Glenn's show, and however he wanted to build his team and run his team, it was going to be his way. And I like that Aaron Glenn came in and was saying that, you know, this is how it's flat out, this is how it's going to be. You can be a part of it or you don't have to be a part of it. And I guess my question to those who were very, very upset about the New York Jets moving on from Aaron Rodgers, does this ease your tension at all? That we've seemed to get that Rodgers was there to hear him out, but in all likelihood wanted to move on also. Does that ease the tension? Or are the Jets still making the biggest mistake, one of the biggest mistakes in franchise history, giving up their chance to win a Super Bowl in 2025, punting on the season in 2025, tanking the 2025 season? Or could we maybe go, you know what? Hand up. I overreacted a little bit. Some self-awareness from Jet fans. Can we get there? Let me know what you think down below in the comments on the latest on this report. Once again, I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I will catch you next time.